Item number SCP-6003. Containment Class. Pending. Special Containment Procedures. Foundation Facility Site Null has been constructed above sea level 5.5 kilometers west of SCP-6003 shoreline for the purposes of observation, research, and containment of anomalous phenomenon related to the island. SCP-6003's secluded nature is considered sufficient self-containment. In the event of trespassing, individuals are to be detained, amnestics administered at the discretion of the acting site director. Update: March 14, 1969. Due to the events of Incident 6003 Kerbon, all activity on SCP-6003 must be concluded with the use of a protective ACAD suit engineered to prevent chemical breakdown. Upon conclusion of activities, personnel returning to Site Null are to be quarantined inside an ultra-sterile chamber until biological testing indicates that the party is absent of SCP-6003's effects. Suits are then to be incinerated. Description: SCP-6003 is an island in the Pacific Ocean, located inside an extra-dimensional pocket at geolocational coordinates 58 degrees 33 degrees 31 north by 20 degrees 57 degrees 57 east, inaccessible to individuals who do not meet a set of criteria. Access to SCP-6003 is limited to those with knowledge of the island and/or its coordinates. Travel via sea with the intention of reaching SCP-6003 even without adequate nautical, navigation expertise or familiarity with SCP-6003's coordinates will result in journey and parting locating the island through a poorly understood non-Euclidean shift between 2 points. After a duration of ordinary travel ranging from 45 minutes to 8 hours. Individuals have reported navigational instruments ceasing to function and their vessel briefly entering a blanket of fog before emerging 10 kilometers from the island's shoreline. This phenomenon occurs regardless of SCP-6003's proximity to the individual's departure location and does not apply to individuals traveling via aerial locomotion. The only natural occurring life forms on SCP-6003 are plants, a variety of which are unique to SCP-6003 and SCP-6003-1. SCP-6003-1 is a 50-meter tall, smooth, wooden pillar at the center of SCP-6003, taking the form of an early 1940s lighthouse. SCP-6003-1 is not in an operational state. SCP-6003-1 appears to be one solid piece of hollowed wood, with the topmost section carved into a lantern pane. An entrance into SCP-6003-1 has yet to be discovered, and the structure has proven to be resilient to force attempts to access its interior. The base is embedded at least 15 meters into the earth, and much of the surrounding soil swells, similar to tree roots, around SCP-6003-1. However, no analogous structures have been discovered. Radiocarbon dating of SCP-6003-1 has returned inconcurrent results ranging from 12,000 BCE to 3 years prior to its discovery. Previous signs of habitation exist on SCP-6003, including elaborate ruins, written records, sophisticated technology, and personal effects. Radiocarbon dating and anthropological analysis have determined the civilization that once inhabited SCP-6003 to be upwards of 2,000 years old. No supplementary evidence corroborating the existence of this civilization has been found in the historical documents, anomalous or otherwise. Likewise, no discernible evidence of trade is recorded in writings recovered from SCP-6003. Despite this, numerous objects and resources recovered from the island, such as cloths, tools, statues, and lodgings, are composed of material not naturally occurring on SCP-6003 itself. Their origins of acquisition remain unknown. At present, no physical remains have been excavated from SCP-6003. Addendum 6003.1 Recovered Materials. SCP-6003 came to the attention of the Foundation upon the passing of O5-6 on April 3, 1968. Among their personal possessions entrusted to the Foundation for further research was a manuscript, heavily water damaged and presumably cut from a larger work. The origin of this text remains unknown. It has been reproduced below. And he said unto Lighthouse, Travel the sea, the waters of the world, though come not to that place. Craft from night the bounded hate, a paradise lived alone. From his meager kingdom ever still beneath the wooden throne, where harrowed silence permeates, no reverence maintained. A quiet corner undisturbed, the sleeping giant remains. Tala took heed of her master's warning and wept. Additionally, a document containing the aforementioned coordinates derived from the above passage using numerology was also entrusted into the Foundation's care. An exploration party was commissioned by the Foundation and made landfall upon SCP-6003 on August 29, 1968. Addendum 6003.2 Initial Exploration and Discoveries. On August 29, 1968, members of Mobile Task Force Zeta 67 anchors away, and the Foundation researchers Thomas Swain, Emily Clark, Rosa Ham were deployed to SCP-6003 for preliminary exploration. Swain, the research team's head, was instructed to maintain a journal of his thoughts and discoveries. Excerpts from Thomas Swain's personal log, August 29, 1968. When the Foundation sends us out, they usually want something in particular. A captured anomaly, a person of interest, something. Getting sent out for preliminary exploration, on the other hand, makes you feel like a ball in a Pocono machine. They're just sending us out to see where we land. This time around, we didn't get any concrete instructions other than doing a clean sweep of the place and making sure everyone gets out in one piece. There was always a chance that those would be at odds with each other, but the higher-ups were never revered for their communication skills. Past the initial shore, there was a ring of craggy, salt-laden plains. A brief trek through the sediment and we came into a grassy, lush valley. The change of scenery was jarring, but considering the circumstances of our arrival, it wasn't unbelievable. Just nonsensical. Then there were ruins. Lots of them, laid throughout the valley, clearing as far as the eye could see. Each building was one long room, assorted into horizontal sections. Well, diagonal columns. The thing was that each room was slightly more elevated than the one before it, like a massive circular staircase. You know the Colosseum? Picture that, but gray, falling apart due to hundreds of years of natural decay and 1,000 times bigger. Source: footage captured from Thomas Swain's body camera. Date: September 29, 1968. Begin log. Multiple segments of the ruins are present as Swain navigates through the perimeter. Other members of the preliminary research team aren't visible, but Rosa Ham's voice is audibly distant. Swain approaches a ruined building composed of what appears to be sandstone near the center of this segment. The ruin is significantly wider than normal, spanning 2 sections. On the right side of the entrance is a featureless stone pillar extending to shoulder height. The top edge of the pillar appears to be significantly more worn than the surrounding structure, as if it has been touched by many hands. Swain enters the ruin. Swain: I am seeing a few similarities to the structures of the settlement present here. The rows of what I assume to be stone benches, and again, they're getting progressively taller. These ones look like they're in actual rows though. My best guess is that it was some sort of communal space, but we might need a better understanding of the culture here before we can say that for sure, especially if we want to claim that. Swain stumbles slightly before catching himself. A stone cylinder, broken less than 2 inches above its base, is sticking out of the ground. Swain: What? Why is that here? As Swain crouches down to inspect the cylinder, a second stone cylinder is visible between the 2 benches. It has been broken at one end and has a prism embedded in the stone at the other end. Swain retrieves the second cylinder. Swain: It doesn't fit perfectly with the bit in the ground, probably because there's some smaller pieces that went missing. Here, let me just... Swain supports the cylinder with one hand. He shines his flashlight at the prism, the beam diffracting into smaller beams and creating a band of light around chest height. Swain. Interesting. A primitive light source. Looks like if sunlight got in here, yeah, this thing could light up an entire room. Swain sets the cylinder down and approaches the back wall of the ruin through an antechamber. 6 haphazardly carved pillars are situated within. The first 5 have a wooden box on top of them. However, the last pillar is coated in a thick stone-like substance which renders the box fully concealed, if one is present. Swain. I'm trying to make sense of this, but everything is either too ancient or in complete shambles. Look at this. Swain opens the first box, coughing as a current of dust shoots out as the lid is lifted. He finds a large stone with a crude painting drawn on it. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be looking at here. A piece of a mural? It's too damaged to make out the image. There's 4 more of these we can get to. If we're lucky, we might have a better idea of what we're looking at by the time the higher-ups get a hold of this footage. Let me get some close shots of these. Body camera is close to the back wall of the ruin, while the sound of a camera shutter could be heard. Swain inspects approximately 2/3 of the back wall in this manner before stopping and turning to face the entrance. SCP-6003-1 is visible in the distance. Swain's breath is audibly lighter as he rests on the nearest stone bench. Body camera continues to face the entrance. Swain is motionless for several minutes, occasionally mumbling to himself. Clark, over Swain's handheld receiver. Rosa and I finished encircling the ruins, over. Swain. Would you mind repeating that one more time for me, over? Clark. The ruins are laid out in a circular formation around the whole island. We just went around the entirety of it. Gonna try to see what's in the middle, over. Swain. Sounds good. I'll start making my way over there. Over. End log. Afterward. As of this file's previous revision, November 15, 1977, no close inspection of the remaining 1/3 of the ruins has been conducted, as environmental conditions on SCP-6003, see preceding addendum for details, have inhibited further investigation. Excerpts from Thomas Swain's personal log continue. August 29, 1968. The outermost rooms had what may have been once 40 centimeters or so of steps, while the innermost ones were stone roofs poking out of the dirt. The low-lying buildings we could access had stairs leading down, so it's clear that they were supposed to be at least partially used underground. Details that would give us a clue as to what had happened to the people who once lived here had broken down into nothing useful. If whoever lived here had doors, they had all disappeared by the time we arrived. What's more, the plants had moved in while they were gone. The grass was halfway up our boots, and Rosa almost tripped over some of the vines, twice. The clovers were relatively tame. The front of each ruin had always had a gap where the door might have been, but no openings were anywhere except occasionally the back. Eventually, Rosa pointed out that the houses were near the back of each segment were wider than the ones in the front. They weren't in perfect grid. They were all aligned slightly so that the sections pointed towards a single area. We'd only looked at a few buildings, and anything beyond that had been hiding in the fog. So we decided to walk around and figure out how wide the fan of ruins was. Em went to the back of one building, Rosa went to the end of another, and they were planning to walk along the outermost ruins in opposite directions until they reached opposite ends. Instead, they met on the other side. Since the ruins formed a giant ring, we decided to see what was in the middle. The fog was too thick for our flashlights to be worth a damn, so they had to get close to figure out what was there. They didn't have to finish walking to realize it was a lighthouse. A towering monolith, jetting into the sky like the base of a giant tree. It dwarfed the surrounding ruins, yet none of us noticed the structure until we approached the island's center. Now, it was impossible to miss. The tower was crafted from some type of wood. None of us nor our equipment could figure out what kind. It was gray, incredibly smooth at first glance, but the fine details revealed twists and curves in the surface as if they were sculpted by expert hands. It was breathtaking as it was terrifying. No power source, no entrance, but nonetheless, the giant stood, an undeniable testament that something had been here before us. To think that we failed to notice something that commanded such a presence carried another unsettling implication. Addendum 600.3 Further findings. On September 4th, 1968, excavation site C established in an innermost circle of ruins in an area believed to hold hierarchical significance. Located a previously unnoticed passageway behind a large circular sculpture that hung on the wall. The tunnel led to an ornate antechamber, decorated with intricate line patterns and complex tapestries on its walls. Beyond the vestibule was a large room similar in design, where 6 rectangular stone boxes were situated. These boxes held pieces of painted stone which were in a state where their contents could be discerned. It is believed that they are similar to a largely incomprehensible mural pieces found during SCP-6003's initial ground exploration. A visual analysis by researcher Ham has been included below. Box 1. A person coated in heavy black furs, possibly a humanoid primate, is shown standing on an empty patch of land with their arms outstretched. In front of them, a tree highlighted by a yellow flash of light can be seen contorting and changing its shape. Box 2 depicts longships making port at the northern edge of the island. At the island center is SCP-6003-1. Its lantern appears to be operational. Positioned near the structure is a skeleton, presumably belonging to the figure in Box 1. Box 3. A human figure drawn with golden paint, most likely the tribe's leader or a figure of social importance, is in front of SCP-6003-1, arms outstretched in a position similar to the first mural. A beam of light is pointed at them. Box 4. SCP-6003-1 is surrounded by trees, animals, overgrown grass, and food. Members of the tribe are kneeling to it, and the leader, who is situated in front of SCP-6003-1, now depicted as having a gray crown on their head. Box 5 Front. Drawing of the ruins surrounding SCP-6003-1 are now present. The leader is depicted as praying to SCP-6003-1, as the rest of the tribe are doing various tasks such as farming, conversing, or dancing. Box 5 Back. The tribe surrounds SCP-6003-1. Their faces are weeping, solemn, or distressed. The leader is seen in front of or embedded into SCP-6003-1. Beams of light are shining from them. There is substantially more overgrowth in the background. Box 6 Inaccessible. Coated in a gray material covered in a viscous, sap-like substance that has been resistant to all attempts at removal. The following document has been released at the interviewee's personal request. Readers are reminded that any claim in this document have not been verified or endorsed by the SCP Foundation. Request for project transfer. Interviewer, Dr. Thomas Swain. Interviewed, researcher Rosa Ham. Log begins 0823. Swain. Well, I've been to the Grand Canyon, but I don't understand why you're asking me about it. Ham. But have you seen the Grand Canyon? Swain. I've seen photos of it if that's what you're asking. Ham. Then you've seen how time lays on something. You've seen how it wears down the world. It carves the land. It carves buildings. Hell, it carves people. Swain. Sure. Ham. Most of that lighthouse is a wood cylinder. It's like a tree, except for the fact that trees have age. They have holes where beetles dug into their bark and scorch marks from old fires. That lighthouse was smooth. The damn thing hasn't been touched. And it doesn't have any actual roots either, because that would imply some sort of change. It would mean that the lighthouse interacted with the rest of the landscape, but the lighthouse and the landscape are completely independent. Swain. Well, I'm sure that being made of exceptionally strong wood is part of the anomaly. Ham. This is more than just strong wood. Living things age, dead things decay. This does neither. It might as well be nothing. I've touched it. I put my weight on it, and I'm still not sure that it even exists. Swain, whether or not you are correct, we need to conduct more research. Ham, research on what? A society lives on an island that's nowhere next to a pillar of nothing before disappearing without a trace? You saw those rocks like I did. They weren't made for art. They were made to tell people something. Swain, I'm aware of that, Rosa. That's exactly why we need to do more research. Ham, you can do your own research on your own. I don't want to end up wherever the hell they went. Swain, we don't know if they went anywhere. Like you said, things decay and die. This place is ancient, Rosa, and we need to look into every corner of it before making any assumptions. Ham, I'm not going to be here for that. I know when something's wrong. You know it too. And why are you going to these lengths to ignore it? It's beyond me. Swain, listen, to be eligible for transfer, you need to... Ham, when I was sent here to conduct a preliminary exploration only, mind you, not any of that Cite null death trap you've been going forward with. We were instructed to keep everyone alive. This is me keeping everyone alive. Is that eligible enough for you? Swain, unless you can prove that you're at some sort of elevated risk, I can't approve you for a transfer. Ham, my God, you were there. You looked at the lighthouse. You looked at those rocks. What did you see? A pause. Swain, I saw people, Rosa. People who obsessed over something they couldn't understand. Remainder of log excluded as per interviewee's request. Following a discussion with other site staff, researcher Ham's request for transfer was ultimately approved by head researcher Swain, as she was moved off of the project. Despite Ham's account, other station researchers and task force members have not displayed any ill effects or desire to leave the SCP-6003 project. Addendum 6003.4 Cite null. Development on Cite null was completed on September 28, 1968, officially establishing Cite null as a secure facility. Excerpt from Secure Facility Dossier Cite null. Cite null is a fixed platform built on 8 steel leg supports that have been anchored into the seabed 5 kilometers from the coast of SCP-6003. A crew of 16 personnel sourced from the initial exploration team and the Foundation's archaeological department have been allocated to Cite null. The team's lead, Thomas Swain, was appointed site director, with Emily Clark heading the research department responsible for analyzing the phenomenon related to SCP-6003. Cite null's primary directive is to function in conjunction with the archaeological operations conducted on SCP-6003. 6 excavation sites have been established across the island in areas that personnel believe will yield results in recovery of materials belonging to SCP-6003's previous inhabitants. Between October 1st and October 10th, 1968, a number of staff cited that Cite null reported numerous anomalous events. Interviews with effective staff allowed for the creation of the following file. Seagulls are reportedly spotted circling above Cite null, despite there being no recorded deviance of typical seagull appearance and behavior. They are reportedly described as vulture-like. As SCP-6003 lacks natural fauna, it is unknown how these animals have reached the island's locus. A rogue wave formed unusually close to land, colliding with Cite null. 3 personnel were injured. Water faucets at Cite null have repeatedly dispensed human blood. Chemical analysis of the fluid indicated that it had been heavily diluted with seawater. Multiple radio frequencies used at Cite null operations were simultaneously disrupted. Personnel using disrupted channels reported hearing multiple voices conversating in an unknown language. Plant growth in the ruins has anomalously accelerated, leading to the entrapment of 2 excavating personnel for several hours. Team was recovered successfully. Fog density near SCP-6003 shoreline has greatly increased. Personnel are advised to exercise extreme caution to avoid running Foundation ships aground. Transmissions consisting of heavy breathing and wet, shifty noise were intercepted by Cite null nightly for 2 weeks. These messages were determined to originate from SCP-6003. A team surveying SCP-6003's mountains reported seeing a massive decaying tree lined with human eyes that, when approached, collapsed into the ground with a loud cry before disappearing. 2 personnel who were fishing off Cite Null's dock for recreational purposes reeled in a wicker basket that was sealed in the middle, with several holes punched in the top half. When separated, various cloths and small pieces of bark engraved with symbols of unknown significance were found inside. Personnel excavating Site D while underground reporting hearing jovial sounds coming from the surface and seeing dancing silhouettes flicker on the walls, as if cast by a flame. Sounds were described as fleeting and recalling the experiences caused personal emotional distress, often to the point of tears. MTF Captain Renee Langley refused to emerge from her quarters for 3 days, citing it claimed that SCP-6003-1 was watching and judging her. On the 4th day, Langley suffered short-term memory loss and could not recall the events of the past week. She has since been relieved of her duty at Site Null. An archaeological team of 4 was observed standing in front of SCP-6003-1 for 8 hours. Each individual is situated in one of the 4 cardinal directions around the pillar. When questioned, personnel did not view their actions as abnormal. Site Null observed a passing vessel on the horizon, described as a longship made from black carved wood. The ship's bow held up the large figurehead of what appeared to be the head of an ape, with its mouth held open and its eyes replaced with stones. The vessel passed within 10 minutes, undetected by Site's radar. Personnel report feelings of constantly being observed at Site Null and on SCP-6003. Dr. Emily Clark is overcome with a fit of mania. Fully convinced she is suffering an eternal punishment in an afterlife, she repeatedly cried out that the vines were constraining her and pulling her into the ground. After several hours, Clark regained her composure. Noted distress has been observed in her demeanor since, though she has passed all subsequent psychological assessment tests. Several personnel stationed on SCP-6003 reported seeing holes in the ground, with large human eyes embedded into the earth. They are described as crying. A single 20-second transmission is intercepted by Site Null, consisting of screaming. The message was determined to be sent from SCP-6003. Personnel testing SCP-6003-1's chemical composition experienced minor ground tremors localized in the area immediately surrounding the pillar. All personnel reported the sensation of hands grabbing onto their lower bodies and pulling. Paul Chandler, Site staff, received medical attention after collapsing in the field. After a prolonged struggle in which he claimed his body was being pierced in multiple locations, he expired. Autopsy revealed his nervous system had been replaced with fibrous tree roots, resulting in heavy damage to his internal physiology. On October 10, 1968, SCP-6003's anomalous weather formation of fog is disrupted for the first time as storms take the island. This event has yet to subside. All activity has been regulated to Site Null until further notice. The catalyst for these events is unknown and under investigation. Addendum 6003.5 Analysis of SCP-6003-1. Primary bases of operation were erected following Site Null's creation. These outposts were located on the far east and west ends of the ruins. During that time, SCP-6003-1 became a point of focus for Dr. Swain, Site 322's Joseph League, and an expert on anomalous ruins and structures, was asked to examine SCP-6003-1. Open case file. Present members: Thomas Sweeney, Joseph League. Source: footage captured from Thomas Sweeney's body camera. Date: October 15, 1968. Begin log. Personnel are standing a few meters from the base of SCP-6003-1. Sounds of the storm that have enveloped the island are heard throughout the recording. League: wood, right? Swain: yep, petrified wood. It has been resistant to all of our attempts at entry. Chances are that whatever petrified this made it anomalously resilient too. League. I've heard that they petrified the shelves in the Wanderer's library, but those shelves had color. They weren't this. Swain. The gray is striking. League. Very striking. I don't think this came from the Wanderer's library. It's too attention-grabbing. It's probably more of a beacon for those who lived here than anything else, so it's possible they built it. Swain. We haven't seen any evidence for that. We're under the belief that they built around it? That's probably the case, but it could also be possible that their leader summoned it. Swain. There are carvings. We're still going to go through them. It seems like they've praised it, almost as if they were brought here because of it, or at least something relating to it. League. So it's an icon. A great one, too. Any evidence of this being a structure to honor the dead? Swain. Not exactly. League. I'll get back to you when I can do some more research. Swain. Thank you. A brief pause. Swain. Really makes you feel small, doesn't it? League. Yeah, I guess it does. I didn't really think about it until you said so. Swain. I think it was meant for something or someone. I wonder if they ever saw it. Faint rumbling is heard. The fog above the two personnel is illuminated by the white light, which slowly begins to spin. Dr. League leaves Swain, who is staring at the light. League approaches the base of SCP-6003-1. Swain. Oh, it hasn't done that yet. League. Tom, come here, look. Look at this. Swain. Yeah? The grass surrounding SCP-6003 is fading in color, slowly turning from a vivid green to a muted gray. Swain. I don't understand. League. I'm grabbing a sample. Dr. League reaches for a reed of grass. When his fingers touch it, the plant crumbles to ash. End log. Afterward, SCP-6003-1 and its lantern has remained operational since this event. Over the preceding 5 days, the distortion of plant life spread at an approximate speed of 0.5 meters per hour. This rate slowly accelerated over the course of another week at a constant rate. The recovered substance from Dr. League found that the grass reed was being destroyed on a molecular level. Its cells were still intact. However, in stasis and inert, containment efforts began following the discovery. Partial containment log. Proposed containment effort. Ignite effective plant life with the use of controlled burns to limit the spread of the anomalous discoloration. Result. Ineffective. The spread continued accelerating through the burnt plant life. Proposed containment effort. Clear the island of all personnel. Result. Ineffective. The discoloration continued through the island, spreading throughout the ruins and the Foundation outposts. Proposed containment effort. Decommissioning of SCP-6003-1. A nuclear explosive would be detonated on SCP-6003 at the base of SCP-6003-1. Result. Denied by Dr. Swain. Researchers are currently searching for a cause for this incident. At present moment, the spread has ceased at the edges of the island. MTF Zeta-67 anchors away was deployed for an exploration of 6003 in an effort to assess any potential damage. Team members were outfitted with the standard hazardous environment equipment along with body cameras. Addendum 6003.6 Mobile Task Force Investigation. Open Mission Transcript. Present members: Dr. Thomas Swain, Remote Commander. Zulu 67, White, Captain. Zulu 67, Mako. Zulu 67, Blue. Source: footage compiled from Zulu 67's body cameras. Date: October 20th, 1968. Begin log. White: we've landed. There is a light cracking sound with each step the members take, as well as rainfall. Occasionally the sound of thunder can be heard. Mako: it feels like I'm stepping in snow. Is this grass? Swain: it was. Through the fog, SCP-6003-1's light can be seen spinning in the distance, briefly illuminating the distant ruins and team members. Swain: proceed to the ruins. There is a section of the main building we weren't able to access previously. Blue: copy that. Mako: beginning approach now. Blue slides his hand along the outer walls of a building. It flakes off. Blue. Are we at risk for structural collapse in here? I could tear a piece out if I tried hard enough. Swain. It's possible that enough force may cause a chain collapse. Proceed in, don't lean on anything. The room we're looking for is located through the northwestmost antechamber. White. Understood. The team proceeds. Mako. Grabbing a sample. Pause. This is odd. Mako peels a layer off the cobblestone flooring. Mako. It's like dry sand. White. Or chalk. Mako. Command, is there anywhere else we need? All members pause, then quickly cup their hands over their ears. Silence, save for the rain, for 10 seconds. Swain. Status report. White, do you copy? Command is ignored. Blue. What the hell was that? White. No clue. Mako shudders. Blue. Where did that come from? Mako, you alright? Mako. Yeah, I'm fine. Swain. What, did you hear something? White. Yeah, it was like stone scraping on stone. Mako. Nails on a chalkboard. SCP-6003-1's light passes through the windows of the building, briefly illuminating the team. White. We'll check through the recording when we get back. Permission to proceed, Command? Swain. Granted. Zeta-67 passes through the antechamber into a room where 6 pillars are seen. The 6th one is coated in a calcified stone-like material. Swain. At your 3, near the east wall, 6th pillar. Mako. Roger. Zeta Blue breaks away. He approaches the western wall and begins inspecting the first box. White. This one? Swain. Yes, we believe there is one more inscription somewhere in that wall. Use your knife, scrape against the wall and find it. White. Roger. Mako. Roger. Beginning now. Swain. Where the hell is Blue? White. Huh? Mako. Command? Can you repeat the question? Swain. Your 3rd teammate, Blue. Where is he? Mako. Who? White. It's only us here, sir. Is everything alright? Swain. What are you... Mako. I got something. A partial stone box is seen on Zulu Mako's body camera. Swain. Continue, please. Mako and White begin pulling from the same area. Swain. Blue, do you copy? Blue. And he said unto Lotus, travel the sea, the waters of the world. Swain. Blue. Blue, I hear you. Do you copy? Please return to your team. Blue. Though, come not to that place. Craft from the night, the bounded hate. Swain. Blue, this is Tom Swain. Are you disregarding my orders? Blue. A paradise lived alone. Mako and White begin scraping at a much faster pace. Swain. Mako. White. Intervene. Now. Mako. We're almost done here. Blue. His meager kingdom ever still, beneath the wooded throne. Swain. It's a goddamn order, Mako. Your teammate is in distress. Blue. Where horrid silence permeates. Approximately half of the stone box is now revealed. Blue. No reverence maintained. Swain. White. White, do you copy? Blue. A quiet corner undisturbed, thus sleeping. White. I copy, sir. Mako and White increase their speed. Swain. Do you hear me, goddammit? Blue. Get back to your team now. Blue. Giants remains. White. Loud and clear. We're almost done here. Swain. God damn it, Blue. Anthony, listen to me. We're going to be all right. Blue. Battalia took heed of her master's warning. The box is revealed. Blue. And wept. White pries the box open. Inside of it is another decorated stone. It depicts members of the civilization lined up outside of SCP-6003-1. The ones closest to it appeared to be entering it. Swain. Blue? White turns around, finding Blue completely still. White. Blue. Oh God, Blue. Mako. Oh no. Blue's body becomes duller, as if all the color is being sucked out of him by an unknown force. Within seconds, Blue is completely colorless. Staring at the base of his feet, the matter comprising his body takes on chalky, flaky appearance. This deterioration climbs slowly up his body until the entirety of it is transfigured into the substance. Swain. Hello? White, do you copy? Mako? White approaches Blue and places his hand on his shoulder. The body collapses into a mound of ash. White. Copy. Swain. Mako. Hello? White turns back to Mako, who is now undergoing the degradation. She is suffering in the final stages of the conversation before Mako collapses. Swain. Oh God. End log. SCP-6003 remains evacuated. Site null is currently operating through remote containment procedures. Personnel are no longer permitted to travel to SCP-6003. Addendum 6003-7. Recovered materials from Director Thomas Swain. On October 23, 1968, 3 days after Mobile Task Force mission, Director Swain was discovered to be missing, leading to Dr. Clark being designated as temporary site director. An investigation ensued. However, the causal factors of this event still remain unknown. During said investigation, a number of journal entries beginning after Rosa Ham's dismissal, as well as multiple requests for additional personnel from Swain, were discovered. They are presented chronologically below. Open recovered materials. May 9th, 1968. I can't believe I let Rosa walk like that. She was a good researcher, one with skill and potential. I think she knew that though, and perhaps that scared her. Well, something scared her. Nothing on this island, nothing I can look at and feel frightened by. It's peaceful. There's a calm stillness not found anywhere else, especially in my line of work. I look out at everything she did and felt the opposite. Maybe it's me who's blind to it all. Maybe there's something so vivid and so intense that my brain rolls over it. Rosa would be smart then, and I'd be the fool. I examined the same rock she did, and understood the same things she had. What am I missing? There were people here once. They lived here. They worshipped a god who provided for them. A god who is now defunct, as they are. I guess I should have fought harder to keep her. Maybe I'd understood what she was so adamant about. Maybe I'd listen. Date: October 5th, 1968. Request for additional personnel. Notes: anomalous activity has disrupted our team, which was a skeleton crew to begin with. Lots of people have been working overtime, but the lack of sleep is starting to get to us all. Additional prior requests for additional personnel have yet to be addressed. A transfer is sorely needed. Status: denied. October 10th, 1968. Emily had a breakdown earlier today. She kept begging me to forgive her. I'm losing my grip on this position. Nothing really prepares a person for something like this, to have everyone's lives and well-being placed in my hand, only for them to slip through my fingers drip by drip. Emily kept babbling about falling and a snake wrapping around her and squeezing her. I gathered everyone up after we had Emily sedated. We tried to think of an answer, but no one had anything. I told them that the lighthouse had turned on, and they looked at me like I was crazy. No one else saw it, apparently. I showed them the video and they asked me where it was filmed. No one could find Joseph either. The meeting went nowhere. Joseph thinks we triggered when we were forming the dig sites. We were looking into that whenever we could get to the island. The only consensus I could get is that we're all feeling dread, as if there's something or someone 2 inches behind us, but every time we turn around, they're gone. Like we're stuck in a dream, unable to run away from the nightmare that's slowly gaining on us. I need more people. I need someone to help us stay sane and work through this. October 22nd, 1968. I sent our only protection to die today. I can't figure out if I'm to blame or the lighthouse. They'll never believe me when I say it. It's still watching me as I write this. Emily says I'm paranoid and that we're safe here. Are we safe anywhere near this godforsaken place? I had to abandon my men, and they were rendered to chalk, to ash, to nothing. Date: October 22nd, 1968. Request for additional personnel. Notes: we're all cramped on this oil rig and burnt out as hell. Sarah Huxley's femur was broken by the rogue wave. She still isn't ready to work again. I don't know if Rosa's been talking to whoever's in charge of the transfers, but she wasn't in any real danger. I only let her transfer because I realized she was too out of her mind to get any work done if she stayed. Our only task force agents are gone. We're hardly able to step on that island without more manpower. Until then, we're putting our lives at risk. Status: denied. Date, October 23rd, 1968. Request for additional personnel. Notes. Do you know what it's like over here? Do you know what the non-essential personnel I dismissed was just Sarah, who was hopped up on so much Oxycontin she couldn't tell up from down? In case you haven't been sticking hidden microphones everywhere, here's your fucking dossier. Cite null is an oil rig gone to shit. After Rosa Ham ran her mouth off to some level 5s, they stopped letting anyone onto the site. Fuck who was already working here, I guess. Researchers are getting injured. Anomaly is becoming more and more dangerous. Not a problem. While higher-ups were busy sitting on their hands, all personnel at Site Null were transformed into feral and burnt-out creatures, working 100 hours a week and drinking more espresso than water. Site Director Thomas Swain can be found in his quarters, working, eating, or sleeping. He keeps the door locked in case the rest of the team stages a mutiny, which should happen pretty soon. He predicts that if no additional personnel are transferred, the insurgency, or the Serpents, or Anderson, or whoever the hell needs people familiar with anomalies is going to get some new recruits within the next few months, or maybe they'll all be dead. We need more personnel. This isn't a request, it's a demand. Status: pending. I don't know what else to do. The following night, Site Null's surveillance drones alerted Site Command that an unknown person had landed on SCP-6003. An attempt to contact this person via pre-existing outpost failed on the account of decay and weather conditions by persisting storm. After 12 minutes, this person remotely connected with Site Command on their own accord via body camera. Open file. Source: footage captured from Thomas Swainey's body camera. Date: October 24th, 1968. Begin log. Director Swain is standing in front of SCP-6003-1. The sounds of the storm drowned out the sound of his microphone, adding significant feedback to his responses. Clark, what the hell are you doing? Swainey, I'm sorry, I had to see it. Clark, Tom, get back here now. This is extremely dangerous. Swainey, Helm was right. She was right about it all. They went in there. I don't know why. Maybe it wanted them to. Maybe it told them. They loved it though. The camera pans up. SCP-6003-1's beam can be seen rotating. Swainey remains silent on this image for 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Clark's attempt to converse with Swainey are fruitless and have been expunged from the record for brevity. Swainey, I think about it a lot. We have these plants, completely unnatural to this world, and these ruins, an unnatural addition to this island. You know what was always here though? It was the only thing watching this island. Watching us. Camera pans back to the front. SCP-6003-1's beam appears to pause. The camera feed is overexposed. Swainey, the people who were here figured it out too. They knew it was only safe in there. Loud scraping is heard. Swainey, you just have to understand that. The feed is now visible again. A large gap is seen in SCP-6003-1's walls. The interior is pitch black. Swainey, then I will accept you. Swainey enters. The feed goes to static for 3 seconds. Swainey, I knew it. Swainey is now standing on a barren field. Snow or ash is raining from above him. The entirety of the expanse is in grayscale. Swainey begins to pace forward slightly. 8 minutes redacted for brevity. Swainey, you see those footsteps? They left a path for me. For us. 7 minutes redacted for brevity. Swainey quietly recites the passage from Addendum 6003.1 to himself repeatedly. Approximately 5 meters in front of Swainey is what appears to be a massive tangle of vines and roots. They are all vivid brown in color. It all makes sense. The poem, it was right. I thought it was a warning. I really did. Swainey is now standing close to the colossal bundle of roots. At least 200 corpses are entwined within it, dressing similarly. They can all be seen slowly exhaling and inhaling in unison. Comparison of footage showed that their breathing pattern correspond to each rotation of SCP-6003-1's lantern. 3 bodies are noticed, closer to the outside than the others. Swain approaches them. While they are clothed identical to the other corpses, they are all bearing the insignia of MTF Zeta 67 on their right biceps. Swain: it wasn't. It really wasn't. It wouldn't let anything else die on its watch. It stopped death. It conquered death. Swain begins to cry. It's why it took the island back and took our agents. It's saving them. We woke it up and it wants to save me. I understand. Anything's better than the expanse, the not knowing, the struggle. And for what? A pat on the back? Moments of bliss that won't last? We'll come and go and suffer in the process while you'll be here for as long as the lighthouse stands. This beautiful, this. At the center, a more ornately dressed corpse is wrapped by roots around its torso, a gray crown laying at the left of its head. Swain: this is our throne. The body camera is released and falls to the ground. The feed is now obscured. Stretching and slithering are heard for approximately 12 seconds, then the sound of tightening and wet movement. The feed continues for another 3 hours. The only noticeable sounds are breathing. End log. Footnotes: 1. Anomalous corrosion or degradation. 2. Due to its size sophistication, the presence of a throne. Thank you all for taking this journey into the SCP universe with me this evening. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that notification bell for future content notifications. Remember, when staring into the abyss is staring into you. Until next time, good night.